So from 2010 to 2012, this community lost about $782 million in government contracts that they were once having. It's a huge impact. It's $5,600 per capita for the people in the county. So that's big. The companies are still continuing to do work. Some are stable, some are growing and some are declining. And I think there's an opportunity in all that. Growing companies create jobs, stable companies keep jobs, and declining companies that have attracted people to the area provide an opportunity for new and upcoming companies to actually harness talent that's in this area. And I think that's a really good opportunity.
When you're the beneficiary as a region of that kind of funding, arteries develop, and the same group of people have a tendency to have access to that sort of stimulus. Although the intentions may have been very noble, there's a tendency of individuals and entities to set up a mechanism to just constantly be the beneficiary of that. And maybe it was more important strategically to distribute that a little better.
Two most important things that go on at showcases. Number one, we fight and serve and defend the lives of the American warfighter who defend our freedom abroad. And we fight the real war and help the man and woman who lives on the streets of Johnstown and surrounding communities.
So if you go back, historically, we've had some really great forefathers here who had both vision and the leadership capacity to do things. Mr. Pascarella, Mark's dad, was in a great position to do things and did a ton of stuff for this area. The Congressman, Johnmurtha, had a really good intention and did a lot of things to shore up the economy in this area. It seems like when Mr. Johnmurtha passed away that he held this great crystal of power, and it seemed like upon his death it fractured into many pieces. And a few things happened at that point in time. Some people picked up those pieces and said, I now hold the leadership for this, but they didn't have the vision. Other people that wanted to get some of that power in some ways picked up a piece and didn't know how to use it in some ways. And then lastly, a number of those pieces just evaporated when the congressman passed away.
Martha's passing was completely unexpected. In some sense, I guess it's a typical human behavior that we thought that, the party will continue. But it doesn't work that way. It never does.
So we're faced essentially with trying to reorganize both the vision and the leadership in our community so that the leadership has vision and those with vision have an opportunity for leadership.
Bill Polachek is the chairman of Vision. I like Bill. Usually when I see him, he probably wants to strangle me. He owns JWF Industries. The problem that I have with his enrollment in Vision is the lies. We have a group of individuals that are meeting in secret backroom meetings who are determining how government grants and programs are going to be determined. They actually had 8 government officials on the Vision board. I actually had a Office of Open Records appeal trying to get records to prove what they were doing, and they fought me. They spent $25,000. They wanted to keep these secret.
The business in Morgan is going to do more than sustain itself. We're growing. Right now we're about a $100 million organization. Our strategic plan is to get to $250 million. This announcement we had today to integrate and build vehicles is just one step in that direction. And we're going to make an announcement about another vehicle build we're going to do.
For the combat vehicle business, BA Systems is a diverse company. They have a number of different applications, some of which are commercial. I would have to refer you to somebody who specializes in those programs. But the vehicles we build clearly are meant to support the men and women in uniform who rely on them.
There are a number of people that derive the majority of the revenue from defense. And those people are the tentpole companies in many ways in this area, and they're the people that really participate and drive the design of what Showcase for Commerce is. I think we'll see them continue to participate in that, and for them, it's a celebration of what they're doing, but it's not the place that they get the business necessarily that they're announcing. And I think there's a big opportunity when we have so many people together that are really interested and committed to the future, regardless if they have different vision for what that might be, to magnetize that and to get them to think bigger and think farther out in the future. And I think that there's a clear win to bring in some big thinkers and speakers that will challenge us.
As you see here, these are the remnants of Congressman Murtha's former papers. Due to diligent research, we've been going through, for example, right here is a bank statement. These are all records from campaign spending. This is the Murtha for Re-election Campaign Committee. These documents have been unearthed after, I believe, 7 years. You'll see he gave a $1,000 check to Hefner for Congress. These are donations, hundreds of dollars, buying ads, different banks, 449 here, this one right here, Gettier, Montaigne, $4,297.58. This is all one monthly statement. $124, some are $42. There's one here for $1,300. I don't know exactly how much money this is. And some of these are handwritten. I don't know if that's Congressman Murtha's signature, one of his aides. I like to dig into expense reports and find out how government spends our money. Restaurants are in here. He bought Lennox from the Lennox factory for $561. This is just one monthly bill. We're starting balance of $61,000. We just saw the January one where it was down to $22,000. $2,300 for communications. What does that mean? I guess the question is, when people give their campaign donations to a candidate, how are they spending it? You know, Murtha was in for 38 years. He was a powerhouse Johnstown representative, but imagine if he wouldn't have been here for so many years and the town may have bounced back. And by the end of the month, $281,331. We have all these credits that came in. So you start off with $22,000 at the end of January, and now you're up to almost $300,000. This one breakfast net worth $79,200 for the congressman.
What big corporation or government contracts do you see there?
Well, here's a local name, Ed Sheehan, Concurrent Technologies Corporation. You need to have a way to filter money for defense contracts. Ed is using his position to get more position. Basically, that's what he's doing. You make as much money as you can off it.
Not at this point. That hasn't been the corporate direction. We're going to stick with the U.S. military. I mean, we do a very small amount of business. Some of our helicopter seats, for example, do have applications into civilian aircraft, but it's a very small percentage of our business.
So there'd probably be no way for you to get into the civilian aspect because there isn't enough money pulled there.
Generally speaking, yeah.
With the new defense budget that they proposed recently, is that something that's going to look good for your company?
I think it'll look good for the defense industry, of which we're a part.
We have the greatest military in the world, and they've done a job as usual.
Thing that we have to remember, and we heard it yesterday, is the president has put forward a budget that Congress is now looking at. And so the way our system works is the president puts forward a budget that Congress then begins to hold hearings.
Do you believe that in future budgets, if we're able to invest in those projects, that we will be able to catch up and remain on schedule?
I do, Chairman, provided
and what is it that they think is legitimate? What is it that they might want to add? We heard a congressman yesterday say they'd like to see more in defense spending, which would be good.
So this is mostly about us protecting our country and our industrial base to produce weapons for America.
We took care of the military like it's never been taken care of before. We want you to buy twice, okay? Twice what you thought for half the price.
Yes, if Congressman Murtha was alive, it would help, but it still would have been a downward trend. Now we see the pendulum swinging the other way.
Mother of all bombs.
And it may be part of a statement to North Korea's young dictator.
We have given them total authorization. Everybody knows exactly what happened.
Our company alone, we're growing in defense. There's other companies that are growing in defense. When you think about vehicle integration, that means we're bringing jobs to JWF that have never been here before. And we're bringing jobs to our suppliers. On top of that, we're going to demand that if you want to do business with us and support the vehicle build, you need to locate in Johnstown. So the spin-off of this is going to be very dramatic. So I expect nothing but good things in defense arena for us. We're always going to have a mindset of growing.
We will have a military like we've never had before.
But the question comes up, how do you pay for it?
And so it's very hard to pigeonhole exactly where this money goes, especially when you have the DOD, who's now just failed its 5th audit.
The Defense Department's taking a sizable chunk of your paycheck. However, it's unable to prove how it's actually spending those tax dollars.
Can they find the cuts other places to increase defense spending, or do they need to try and figure out how they can do with what the president has proposed?
He did give his defense budget a little bit of a boost to $886 billion.
It's a combination of factors between everything going on in the Ukraine. We've given over $110 billion in aid and committed $30 billion more. I think when you take those things together and then add in the defense industrial complex, which is, to me, in my opinion, a great boon for America, but also the biggest problem facing Washington, D.C. in budgets like this size, because too much money, as I saw in the chair, was wasted.
And you have to realize that it's not just Ed. They have a number of bank owners who are also on the vision board, so they can control the money. I forget the bank he was on. And Mark Pasquarella's on the board of Ameriserve. Amy Bradley's on the board of Ameriserve. You get a financial institution, and then magically different government entities will use their CDs and their funding at very low interest rates instead of higher interest rates, and they make money that way. Not that it's illegal, but it's questionable.
Anytime I have a discussion with Ed Sheehan, I'm reminded of that sage advice that I was given. Honesty, integrity, and sincerity. You can learn to fake those 3 things. You're going to go far.
You have a group of individuals that are not from Johnstown who are traveling outside the area, coming in, using their connections to influence what's going on in the city.
Most people that are involved in this, and not just their board, all the boards, are primarily from the more affluent areas of the area.
My biggest message to council is that you'd all be involved.
Their job was to undercut everybody and take over.
And I intend to be the strongest damn mayor the city can be to move it forward.
$500,000 yearly budget is controlling all these different projects.
Visiting 2025 that has 800 people, 75% of which do not live in the city, volunteering.
They congratulate and support themselves. It brings in a lot of money. We take that money and go live elsewhere.